welcome to the playoffs, Leafs Nation and Ladies Talking Leafs. I'm Chris.
And I'm Sil.
And that was some game last night, a big 5-0 Leaf win in Game 1 versus the Lightning. But before we get into that, though, we want to put a little bow on some of the regular season accomplishments.
Yes, so congratulations obviously go out to AM34 on getting to the 60 goal mark and winning back-to-back Rocket Richard trophies. And with that, he is like the first US born player to top the NHL in goals multiple times. So that is that's huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
Huge. And I don't think that we've had a player on the Leafs that's ever accomplished something like this either. So it's a major thing. So also, the Leafs as a team set new regular season franchise records with 50 wins and 106 points. And of course, we know that that is also a special accomplishment.
Yeah. And also congrats to one of our favorite players, or my personal favorite player from Scarborough, Michael Bunting, on finishing the season with the most points as a rookie. I looked it up just to make sure, and he ended the season with 63 points. 2 ahead of Trevor Zegras from the Anaheim Ducks. And we have hopes that he will at least get nominated for the Calder Trophy for Rookie of the Year, even though he's 26 years old. That shouldn't matter. He had an excellent season, and hopefully he gets into the series versus Tampa very soon. I heard he might be playing tomorrow night on the Wednesday night, this Game 2.
No, that will be definitely welcome to see him in the lineup. And of course, we're going to get into it, but yeah, that might add a whole other layer to the game. So anyway, we're going to cover a lot more of the regular season accomplishments at a later date. But obviously right now it's all about the playoffs. So we're going to get into opening night of the playoffs and the Leafs Lightning series. But we want to ask you, our wonderful listeners, a favor. After listening to our show, we would appreciate it if you could leave us a review. Both Apple and Spotify have a listener option to leave a rating or a review, and it's really easy to do it, actually. So on Apple, if you go to your library and find our show and then just scroll down to the very bottom, you'll see the option to rate or review. That's it. And it's important because we want to hear your thoughts on the show, and it will also give us exposure as a source for Leaf content.
Yeah, and we also launched our new website this year, ladiestalkinleafs.com. So check that out. We have a blog there, and we also have some videos there of interviews that we did with Hockey Time Machine. And if you aren't already, you will want to follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Our handle is at LTL1917. And on Instagram and Facebook, you'll find our game picks and live video from Scotiabank Arena, which we were there last night for the game 1.
Yeah, so speaking of that, it's now time for us to get into the show and round 1 of the playoff series versus the Bolts. We're going to start off with our keys to the series. Then we will run our Ladies Talkin Leafs playoff highlight reel. And in our third period segment, we're going to get into some of the other playoff series that interest us. So without any further ado, let's talk Leafs.
All right, so the keys to the series. As usual, I'm starting it off this time. So my one key to the series is special teams, and we definitely got a preview of that last night in Game 1 with the PK being spectacular, our PK. I mean, it'd be nice if we don't take dumb penalties like Kyle Clifford did, which he's probably going to get a suspension for. But yeah, the PK was fantastic last night, and we even got the shorthanded goal. And we're gonna need to see more of that in the series. And then also with the power play was a bit of a, I don't know. It wasn't great last night. I don't have the actual stats, but we found when we were there and we saw that with that stupid little drop pass that we like to do when we're entering the ozone, that part of it, I guess Tampa was having a player sit back there to try and take away that pass. So we need to find some bit more creativity to get the entry into the ozone there. But yeah, it's going to be huge over the series. I think we both think that, and I'm pretty sure Sil agrees. And we need to stay out of the box though as much as possible. And and score on the power play at some point. So that's my first one.
I think one thing I did notice though is that even though there was that pressure, like they didn't kind of get antsy, and they sort of still held the puck and kept their pace. I think they actually slowed it down a little too much. I think they needed to be like quicker breaking into the zone and stuff without, obviously dishing it or getting rid of it too quickly. So hopefully they'll look at tape, I'm sure, and they'll kind of make some adjustments there. But I did like that it really was sort of the same the whole night long. Like they didn't seem to kind of get, flustered or frustrated at all. So, I mean, that's kind of all you really want to see. And I think it's just that part's probably just going to get better as they, settle in even more, I think.
Yeah, we did obviously have the top power play in the league. For our listeners to let them know, Tampa was 7th in the league during the regular season for power play, and they were 14th on the PK. So they weren't that great on the PK. So we should be able to capitalize on that. But I did notice too on their side when they were on the power play, Kucherov seemed like he was always passing off. He had the good opportunities to actually just shoot. But he ended up passing for whatever reason. And that kind of reminds me of maybe he picked up something from Mitch from previous years, or he's deciding to pass it or something. But yeah.
Well, if he took that disease, it's okay. I'm okay if he doesn't get cured of that until next year.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. All right. So what's one of your keys?
Well, I mean, this kind of lends into what I was just saying a moment ago, but mine is fighting through adversity. So obviously last night's game could not have gone any better. And we really, really did do that last night. So no matter what was thrown at us, I think they just stayed the course, and they weren't taken off their game at all. However, it is just one game, obviously, and we know that Tampa is going to be combing the tapes like crazy today, and they're going to come back with an answer for a lot of those things, because, that was pretty embarrassing for them, I think, to lose the first game that way, and probably, brings back some bad demons from a few years down the road as well. So yeah. They're going to come out gunning. And so we are going to need to be able to not just weather that, but find a way to be able to stick to our game plan and reproduce the game that we played last night. Because obviously, it's not going to be as easy in game 2. Not that it was easy last night. It definitely wasn't an easy game. And they played, like, to me, they demonstrated team toughness last night. The Leafs did.
For sure. Yeah.
The most that I've ever seen them demonstrate. So, but, we all know that it's nice to be able to play ahead of the game, but we have yet to see them be behind the 8 ball. So that's going to be the question for me, whether or not, if we get behind, how is that going to affect their game, and can they turn it around and still continue to kind of press on like they did last night?
Yeah. And basically like keep the pedal to the metal, or metal to the pedal, whatever.
100%. Yeah.
That sort of thing. But yeah, no, definitely. I mean, a lot of people are saying today now, like a lot of people are already on to game 2, which is what we should be thinking of, because you want to make sure that you bring that same energy, and you need and more. And like you said, if we have yet to see us be down, let's just say 1-0 or even 2-0. So they need to. I mean, they've been in those. Obviously, we have experience in that before, but not against this type of opponent. Which obviously they're this former Stanley Cup champs, so they're definitely gonna need us to take our game to many different levels. Let's just say that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and then the other key for me would be our best players have to be our best players. And definitely last night they were. Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner were combined 6 points. And I mean, Willie and JT, they didn't get on the scoring sheet, but they were still doing a lot of good things and taking a little bit of a physical abuse too from the Tampa Tampa Bay players with their cheap shots because they were down at that point. And but yeah, as long as our best players are the best players, then the supporting cast will be there to help out. And that supporting cast last night was great. Like Pierre Engvall and Mikheyev, I think, had great nights. And
and Kampf. Oh my God.
David Kampf,
he is a machine on D, honestly. And I'm so happy for him too.
Yeah.
Like he's got to be thinking this was the best career decision he's ever made in his life, because I don't think that he would have ever gotten this kind of opportunity to perform at this level. And, he wasn't brought here for offense, but he's had his best offensive season ever as well. And I loved his celebration too. Like, you could tell it meant a lot. And he is basically the backbone of everything that we do on the defensive side. So he's a guy that needs to be protected for sure also.
Yeah, no. And he, in Chicago, we were talking about it last night at the game, like he had one goal all season, the previous season, right before he got here. So, and Sheldon Keefe said at the beginning of this season that, yes, he's a very defensive minded player, but they could see that he has offense in him, to a little bit anyways, and they've managed to bring it out of him, and he seems to be excelling at it. So that's great. And even Colin Blackwell as well, the pickup at the deadline, he's brought some edge and not afraid to get in there and bring some feistiness into the game. And but bottom line is the best players have to be the best players. Last night they were, and it has to continue like that.
Well, I think the other part of that is, it's that part when that happens, when the best players are the best, that also is inspiring for the rest of the team. Do you know what I mean? That gets people supercharged.
Yeah.
Like, for me, one of the best moments of last night's game that I loved was, how, most people would expect that they would roll out, Matthews, Marner, and who was he with them on the line?
Kerfoot. Kerfoot. Yeah.
To start the game, but they didn't, and they didn't come out till the third line change. Right. And when the crowd just went
crazy,
so appreciative and crazy, that was like a really electric moment. And I'm pretty sure that came across on TV as well. But man, that was really, really cool. And I think that when that line is rolling, and I think even the accomplishments that they had during the season, that makes a huge difference for the team, and it gets everybody fired up. Yeah. So that is definitely a huge key.
Yeah.
And with that also, again, it's amazing how this all rolls out. But it leads into my key, which is that everybody needs to take their game up a notch. Yeah. I think we could all agree when we look back at some of the failed seasons, failed playoff attempts in the first round, that didn't happen. And there was, when you can look to maybe one or two guys that, raised their level of play, that's not a good thing. And every player on the team, and especially the main guys, which haven't happened in previous years, at least recently, they need to really take it up a notch. And that doesn't mean just for one game. That means consistent. And that means also, every game kind of adding a little bit of a layer and, becoming, even a bigger player during the playoffs. And that's what we kind of need to see, I think.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And obviously we're playing the Stanley Cup champions. So this game one is going to be nothing in comparison to the next games that are coming up. Tampa's has gone and gotten to the ultimate level and winning that Stanley Cup. So with us, we've learned the lessons, I guess, for the past several years. And now it's time that we start taking those steps to get to the next level game by game, when we have to bring it. Those players, all the players on the team have to give everything in order for us to get past this series. So yeah, I think I definitely think that that's going to be a huge key to the series.
Yeah. And in addition to, like, we're talking a lot about the players right now, but I think we can't, overlook the coaching as well. And I would say, like, that's one of the things we talked about on a previous episode leading into this, is Keefe going to be up to, the coaching matchup against Cooper? Well, I think round one definitely went to Sheldon Keefe, because I think that wasn't just a perfectly played game. It was perfectly prepared. Like, they were so well prepared for that matchup yesterday. And even the way he, set things up with bringing attention to the scrums and all of those things, his gamesmanship prior and the way he handled the in-game things were great last night. So again, we need to see how he handles and how his team handles any adversity that comes their way, in the way that they have to basically roll with those punches and make adjustments in game. But that, I don't think you can overlook that either.
Yeah, and speaking of Sheldon Keefe, it was funny. That was his first game as Leaf head coach in the playoffs with a playoff crowd. Mm-hmm. That was last night. So
it's so hard to believe.
That's unbelievable.
Right?
Yeah. I couldn't believe that when they said it, but yeah. So anyhow, talking about next level, we picked out a few moments that were next level in our Ladies Talking Leafs playoff highlight reel. So let's roll it.
All righty. So in the number 3 spot, we have Leafs Nation at Scotiabank Arena. Like, as we said, it's been a while since we've had people there for a playoff game. And man, oh man, were we all starving for this type of excitement. Sheldon Keefe even said that he thought the crowd was the first star of the game. And we are proud to say that we were part of it. And it definitely was loud. Like, I even commented to you that I thought that might be the loudest that I've ever heard it in there. Usually when we're talking to each other, I can really hear you. But last night it was like, we're like kind of going, what?
Yeah.
So it was really hard to tell, what each other was saying. But it was definitely exciting. And like from the get-go, it was good.
Yeah, when Sil said that actually to me, saying that it was the loudest, I was like, really? You think so? Like, I'm like thinking, I think I was thinking back to the Maple Leaf Gardens days, maybe. I don't know, right?
Yeah, probably.
Those were really loud, right? But we were going into, by that time, we were going to the conference finals and that. But yeah, so it's going to be a huge test, but we're asking Leafs Nation for tomorrow night's game on Wednesday night at Scotiabank Arena and all future games. Make sure you're loud, right? Last night was the baseline, which apparently was the loudest. We need that to continue and go even more. We need to bring it to next level for the rest of this playoff series, because even Sheldon Keefe said for that 5-minute major that Kyle Clifford got, it was the crowd that really kept the guys going. Like, I mean, they were obviously they know what's at stake, but it was the crowd that they were feeding off of to kill off that penalty. So that was great.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we got to keep bringing it.
Yeah. If the team's going to bring it, we got to bring it.
That's right.
Yeah. And number 2 on the Ladies Talking Leafs playoff highlight reel is Jack Soupy Campbell. 24 saves for the shutout. And he was there when he needed to be, and that's all we need, basically, right? Like I noticed a couple of really, like, let's just say spectacular saves that he made, but he didn't have to be, 24 saves is not really a huge amount. And the guys in front of him really protected him well. I like that, seeing in front of the net. But yeah, I just thought he had a really good game, and we just need him to stay healthy and stay focused, because it's, as we've said, it's going to be next level for every game, and he needs to bring it. He needs to bring it as well to keep his game up and bring it to the next level for the series.
Yeah, 100%. And he looked pretty calm and cool and collected in there. And like you said, at every stop he made, there were people, at least 3 guys right there to make sure that his area of the crease was clear. So
one thing that was funny, remember when the guy sitting behind us, somebody said, it was in the 3rd period, and they said the shutout.
Oh yeah.
Right. And the guy's friend was very much saying, why did you say that? Right. And then I said to Sil, I'm like, yeah. And I turned around, why did you say that? And I'm like, don't say that. You don't say that word until the game is like basically over. Right. Or like within seconds. Anyhow, Soupy did fine last night. And we need more of that for the series, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So obviously moving into our number one spot, we have Magic Mitch Marner. So what more can we say about him? So with 1 goal and 2 assists and his phenomenal work on the penalty kill, I guess now known as the power kill, that seems to be the trending term.
Yeah.
His total ice time was 19-18. He got off the schneid with his 18-game playoff goal drought. So no one can bring that up again anymore.
Yeah.
And he looked definitely cool, calm, and collected, and definitely played his game. And, like when we were talking about fighting through adversity, Tampa actually got some contact on him yesterday, and it didn't seem to faze him at all. So good on him. And honorable mention obviously goes out to our MVP, Austin Matthews, who also had 2 goals and an assist last night.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, with Mitch, I was telling Syl, I was just listening to Joe Bowen on the radio, and it was funny. He actually ran into Mitch in the hallway going into the arena. He was asking him like how his parents were and just casual conversation. And then he just told him, he goes, Mitch, just go out and have a game, basically. And he had more than a game, I would say. I mean, even Sheldon Keefe noted too, like Mitch was on the ice for over 8 minutes, I guess, in the first period because of that whole 5-minute major and being so important on the penalty kill. Plus, he also plays the power play too. So when they had that, he was on there. So he was actually a few minutes ahead of. I think he was just over 3 minutes ahead of Matthews on ice time. So, because Matthews only had 16 minutes last night, which, I mean, that's good, I guess, overall, because you're saving yourself.
He's going to definitely have a lot in the tank still.
Exactly, right? But you need to manage, like Keefe said, he needs to manage Mitch Marner's ice time, being that he's playing in all different kinds of roles. So,
it's a good thing he's got the crazy motor that he has.
Yeah.
But, we need him to last. So, So that is true.
That's for sure. But yeah, so I mean, you can't say anything more. I mean, in the arena, the stars were Mitch Marner was actually the 3rd star. Austin Matthews was 2nd star, and Jack Campbell was the 1st star. But we've kind of mixed it up here with adding in our Leafs Nation because we are the best fans in the world. So we have to put us and Sheldon Keefe pointed out that we were the 1st star of the game, actually.
So obviously it was definitely a great game 1 for the Leafs, and we could talk forever about it, but it is only game 1, and we know the Lightning are going to be a lot better as the series goes on. So let's get into some talk about a couple of the other series that we're kind of interested in watching in our 3rd period segment.
Yeah, so for the 3rd period, we're going to talk about few of the other series anyways, but as we go along throughout the playoffs. But right now, I was actually interested. I got home last night after the game, and the Kings and Oilers series was still on, and I actually got quite interested in it. The things that caught my eye before I started watching it was the fact, like, obviously Zach Hyman is there. That's mostly my interest in it. And there's also Tyson Barrie, Cody Ceci, not so much, but he's on there, former Leaf. And on the Kings, there's Trevor Moore, Carl Grundstrom, and Sean Durzi, who I forgot. I was reminded that he was part of the trade that brought Jake Muzzin to Toronto. So he's a 23-year-old right shot defenseman. And I kind of remember saying or hearing, like, when we got Muzzin, that this player was really, I guess, he could turn out to be a really good young defenseman. And sure enough, he is. He was in on the game-winning goal too. I remember too with that Dubas really didn't want to include him in that deal. Yeah. Yeah. And then there was the Danault factor. I wanted to see what this, how the way he managed to shut down Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. I don't know, both of them, or at least Austin Matthews anyways, last year's playoffs with the Habs. And I wondered like his factor as to how he was going to shut down or try and attempt to shut down Connor McDavid. So it was funny. They basically shot themselves in the foot, the Oilers last night, or Mike Smith did in the goalie, because he threw a pizza up the middle, and that basically resulted in the game-winning goal with just a few minutes left in the game. Otherwise, it was a tie game. It was 3-3. And he basically blew it. He likes to handle the puck, that goalie, but
and he's usually really good at it. Like, he's one of the best puck handling goalies. But not last night.
Not last
in
night
that
on
particular moment. It only takes a moment, though, right? So that's why, like, people, I'm sure the players are cognizant of this, but you have to have your head in the game for the full 60. You cannot have even a 30-second lapse.
No, exactly.
Because it'll cost you. And that's what happened last night. And
that's what happened last night for sure in that series. So it's going to be interesting to see. Now that was in Edmonton, so the Kings took one there, and now the Oilers have to come back. Hyman was his usual self. I saw him; he was in front of the net. He was digging in the corners, and that, and so he was his usual grinding kind of player. So he played well. Trevor Moore had a good game too. I noticed him, and then Sean Durzi.
He scored. Also.
So, and then,
but I didn't seem like it was much of a defensive juggernaut last night, with both teams really scoring. And of course, Connor McDavid had that beautiful goal. So no one stopped him on that one. But I guess if you can, stop at least one or two of his a night, then you're doing pretty well. Chances are he's going to get one. But anyway,
what's yours? What's your series?
The series that I'm kind of interested in watching is St. Louis, Minnesota, mostly because both of those teams are just so tough to play against. And there's, at least an interesting superstar on the Minnesota side as well. Kaprizov, that I'm kind of interested in watching, because he's a player that has done quite a lot this year, over 100 points, and sort of kind of come out of the woodwork, although I'm sure most people who've kind of been watching him will say that that's not really the case. But I'd be kind of interested to watch him a little bit more. And of course, that game didn't disappoint with the nastiness that we would expect. And St. Louis ended up winning 4-0, which I was kind of surprised. I thought it, would be close right from the beginning in game one. And Dave Perron had the hat trick. And it is going to be a nasty series. I think most people have probably seen the cross check to legs that Spurgeon did on a Minnesota player, and
that Bushkevich or Bushnevich.
Bushnevich, and I was really shocked that he only got fined for that. Like, seriously, like, if that was in a Leaf game and that was a Leaf player, there would have definitely been
a
suspensions handed out, right? So
it's kind of funny that the way that works. They said some of it was because the guy continued, the Bushnevich. I don't know how to pronounce his name properly. Sorry, I butchered that. But like, he apparently just played the next shift, like there was no issue. But that really,
but to me, it should never be about whether the person got hurt or not. Whether that doles out punishment. That's not the way it works. It's like that was an intent to injure play, without a doubt. It wasn't just a get out of my way cross check.
No,
they were both down on the ground. Where was he going to go when he was on his knees?
And you look at Austin Matthews, got that 2-game suspension, and Darlene. Sorry, Darlene. I was getting mixed up with because his first name is the same, Rasmus Darlene. Like, he wasn't injured on the play; he was fine. So why did Matthews get 2 games for that?
Yeah.
Right? So,
and I guess that's the whole thing.
It's because of the Leaf uniform, in my opinion. Anyways.
Yeah. And the other part of it is that, I think anybody who watches this game wants, and all the players want either too, is consistency. So, call these things in a consistent way on ice, and when you're doling out the discipline, that's all we kind of want. And, as far as that goes too, like for the rest of the series, I want consistency in the way it's called. Like if the game was called a certain way in game 1, you better be doing the same thing in game 2. Like,
yes. Yeah. Well, and that's what the frustration is on the part of the players too, from game to game, right? There seems to be, at least in the past, there hasn't been that same consistency. So with the refereeing, but on that series too with Minnesota and St. Louis, I mean, that was in Minnesota. So they got, St. Louis got the shutout there. I was kind of surprised about the shutout. Like they didn't manage to get one goal. Yeah. And, and Marc-Andre Fleury, I guess being in the nets, like, I don't know. I saw some of the highlights, but, I don't know. I don't think he could be faulted on any of them. And this is a big year for Minnesota because next year, I guess there's those couple of contracts that come into effect to do with the cap. So if they don't actually have a good run this year, they're basically in a little bit of trouble when it comes to salary cap issues. But we won't get into that. I guess,
hopefully they can at least get the split and make a series out of this. And
I'm for sure I think they will.
They'll get it together for game 2.
Yeah. All right. So we're recording the show on Tuesday, and game 2 of the Leafs Lightning series is set for tomorrow night at Scotiabank Arena.
And just looking at our upcoming schedule, games 3 and 4 are going to be down in Tampa on Friday and Sunday. And then if necessary, they're going to come back here for game 5 next Tuesday, May 10th, before you will hear from us again. So we're just going to set up the reminder that we are going to be doing weekly podcasts right now for the duration of the Leafs playoff run, which we hope is going to go long into June.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So we want to thank all of our listeners, and a shout out to one in particular, one of our Twitter followers from Pennsylvania in the United States at Maple Mets, who recommended our show. So thank you very much. And also one final reminder to be sure to leave us a rating or review and let us know what you think of the show. It's very easy on Apple and Spotify. We gave you instructions at the start, and it's important for our show to get more exposure as a source for Leaf content. And we thank you for taking the time.
And another way to help us out is by visiting our Ko-fi page at Ko-fi.com. You can follow us there, and if you choose to, you can support us by buying us a coffee. Any donation that you give goes towards helping us produce the show and making it even better for you. So you can find the link to our Ko-fi page on all our show notes or in any of our social media profile pages.
Yeah, and as always, we like to thank our healthcare workers and first responders for everything that they do. So thank you.
So enjoy the next few games, Leaf Nation, of the series, and we'll be back next week for more Leaf playoff talk. So go Leafs,
go!